This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search from my site. About 11 hours ago, I ended a hangout that is on my YouTube channel explaining that as an authentic novice, I have the potential to be an effective trainer. I can't sustain the status of novice because you either quit, you're no longer a novice, or you advance and you're no longer a novice. So at this moment, I'm still a novice. Now, I gained a lot of experience today and tonight. It was my first scheduled hours with Postmates. So first of all, the scheduling does make a difference. My 3 deliveries to date, prior to today, were unscheduled. I was not on the schedule, and they kind of came with a lot of gaps. There were very few gaps today. I did 8 hours of walking in the city, job to job, with very small gaps. Again, I was on the schedule, consecutive hours, and which qualified me for priority dispatching, and it makes a difference, a big difference. Rather than just getting the overflow from people who are scheduled when I was unscheduled, you get priority dispatching, and it makes a difference. So I will, I got to share my screen. Share, I guess this one. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just show how much money I made. And I'm doing this for the first time myself. So right here, no, that's the schedule. Here's Postmates.com courier. Postmates.com courier, I think, yeah, this is going to get me my dashboard. So right now I am owed $150, 150.56 for 14 deliveries. So it's about $10 a piece. Um, Noteworthy payouts today was one restaurant, which I got a $36 tip, and another restaurant with a $15 tip. Most of the rest of the stuff is $3 and $4, and not more than that. So I'm going to do more detail, travel log on future hangouts. Relevant training items today. Again, I in the first Postmate on this related subject, I talked about Diego. Now, Diego is a member of management for Postmates New York City. Diego is an expert. I am a novice. So, who would you rather learn from, an expert or a novice? There's advantages either way. So, my target audience, my prime target, are people considering Postmates who have either tried it and quit, considering again, or are just considering it. So, would you rather learn from an expert who makes things sound really easy, or learn from a novice who goes over in detail some of the traumatic emotional moments of the first days on the job? Well, there's an argument that says you learn more relevant things from a novice. Lesson number one: first or second delivery today. I'm on my way to the customer. So there's 2 parts to every delivery. Wherever you are, you go to the restaurant. It is possible you're at the restaurant. It hasn't happened to me yet. So there's 2 parts to every delivery does not originate in the restaurant. You go to the restaurant, and then you go from the restaurant to the person. So in the second part of the delivery, my phone starts going, and I knew it was jobs, and I just ignored it. And so then I delivered at the job, and then I had my first gap. I wasn't getting any new deliveries, And I walked a couple of blocks, and all of a sudden my phone made a noise I hadn't heard before that sounded, something simulated like an emergency vehicle. And it notified me that I had been of the taken off of the I was put offline because I had been ignoring deliveries. Okay. So I was on a delivery, ignoring deliveries. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. So from that point forward, I didn't ignore them. I just skipped them. So it's different. Listeners, please, lesson number one, if you are considering Postmates, it is my advice to you, when it goes off, if you want to stay in priority status, then do something. Don't just ignore it. You pick up your phone and push skip. It's the same thing. You don't do it, but you're telling the system that you're out there. You're just skipping it for good reasons rather than ignoring it. I was holding a place as a scheduled Postmate, and yet I was ignoring the assignments. So I made that change, and it didn't happen again. So that's lesson number one. And the second part of the delivery, opportunities for new deliveries should not be ignored. Someone else may explain this differently, but that's my own experimentation today, first time experience as a novice. Second is tips. I read a blog post. In fact, listeners, if you want to read the same one, it's got high ranked. If you put Postmates, restaurant industry hates Postmates. Restaurant industry hates Postmates. And it is just a trashing of Postmates, this idea that Postmates doesn't share their tips. So I had one of these today. I had a PJ Clark's, a bartender named Bob. I was getting a lot of attitude from Bob that I was with Postmates. I walked out of there with $135 of food paid for on the Postmates card and a lot of attitude from Bob. I knew why, and I got a $15 tip. Okay. That $15 with the people back at PJ Clark's, they know that I get tipped on their food. And I think they've got bad attitudes because they believe they've earned some of my tip, which they never get. So I reconciled that at the next restaurant, though it was unnecessary. I just said, I'm here with Postmates and I don't tip. Is that okay? They were glad to get the business. Now, that was a couple $100 of food, and that was a $35 tip. And, none of that money goes back to the restaurant. Management, of course, non-tipped employees don't care. They're glad to get the business. But Bob at PJ's Clark. So again, tipping, of course, Chipotle, McDonald's, this is not a problem. Uh, but more expensive. I don't want to say fine dining because PJ Clark's is not fine dining. It's casual, yet it is expensive. It's good food. It's famous. It is expensive. So those people think they earn some of my tip. So that's a problem. Again, a more detailed account of this is restaurant industry hates Postmates. I think I've reconciled that for myself, but listeners, it's just the way I do things. And if you're listening and you want to listen to my solution, it's not going to do you any good. You got to figure out your own solution. I'm just identifying the problem. Again, you get attitudes from guys like Bob who thinks he's working hard and I get paid for his hard work. Well, it's very simple. Fuck you, Bob. Um, next topic. I left with that food from PJ Clark's, and I took it. My screen is being shared, so I am going to go to Google. I'm going to show you exactly where I went, minus the address of the building. This is not a happy story. My wife is within earshot, and I didn't tell her the story tonight, so I'm wondering if I deliberately did not tell her the story because I'm gonna tell it for the first time on Hangouts. I'm typing in 1001 because that's a Manhattan zip code. Gets me close. 10001. So now I'm going up here to the Upper East Side, and it's at Park and 60 Park and 67th was right in here. Oh, perfect. Now here it is. This big building here. This is part of Hunter College, and this is the Armory. So here we are, 67. I was right here. So I'd come up third. I'm going to move this here. I'd come up third from PJ Clark's. So I take a left here. This right here is a, maybe I can zoom in. I can really get to that block. So this right, it's an absolutely beautiful block. This synagogue is, there it is, little picture of the synagogue. Park East Synagogue. If you're a fan of architecture like this, it's extraordinarily beautiful. So that synagogue is there. This is absolutely going great. It's so cool. Here's an also beautiful police precinct, and I am not kidding. The building is gorgeous. And then the I know the customer's name, and I'm not going to say his name. Um, so he was in this building here. So I step in, and I'm immediately confronted by the doorman. Delivery people know better; they stand outside, but I deliver to my customers, which is the Postmate way. And I'm getting confronted by the doorman who tries to take my bag. Well, I'm holding a bag of $135 of food, and I'm not giving it to a doorman. So without the permission of the customer, he said, we'll take it from here. I said, well, I'm going to call my customer. You don't need to call your customer. Whoo! It escalated in a flash. I had two doormen who were both confrontational and quite loud. I was hoping I could get some foul language out of them, but it didn't. I wasn't able to get it to escalate that high. Um, they had a resident within earshot, so they sort of behaved themselves, but not real well. They were loud. They were confrontational. They were screaming at me from 30 feet away, and I was really hoping I could get them to go off, and I didn't. I was digging in there, saying, antagonizing things like, "Are you telling me I can't call my customer? You don't need to call your customer." I said, "That's not what I asked. Are you stopping me from calling my customer? Press them for an answer rather than just telling me that I don't need to." I wanted to escalate this confrontation. So I did, and it really exploded. They were crazy uncomfortable. They got residents there that witnessed this whole thing, and I stand there happily and call my customer. And they're just fuming. I said, I'm being harassed by your doorman down here. I usually deliver to the floor, do the room, and is it okay if I give it to these doormen? And they said, the customer, of course, said yes. So fine. Now my $135. There's no, with Postmates. There's no paper exchange, no signature, no nothing. So I have no problem giving it to the doorman. I just want to know it's okay. So with that, I go out and and I was soliciting for foul language. I am the only one that used it in this case, and that on the exit I used the fuck word, and I said fuck you. But only in a voice that the one doorman could hear and the residents and the other doorman could not hear. And I didn't get, a foul. I didn't get foul language from him in his return, although he did bark back something. It wasn't the F word, which is what I was fishing for. So, anyways, this is important. Listeners, if you're paying attention, I hope you're enjoying the story. So I walk down here, and this is the Armory here. There was a show exiting, so this is the service entries, Armory. Beautiful front door of the Armory over here on Park. But I was on the backside, so this is service industry. There's a lot of carts and heavy equipment going in and out, and so I walked here and then I started down Park. Now I've hit a dead spot. I've got a gap, like it was probably 20 minutes, and I was fatigued, so I sat on my bucket and just sort of thought, well, I'll just wait for. I was in a decent zone. I didn't need to get out of the zone to try to get to higher frequency, higher activity. Um, that's according to Postmates map. They have what's called a heat map. So I was in a medium warm to warm location. So I just sat there. I was down here someplace, a couple blocks down. So that ding, 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 ding. I get another delivery. Where do I go? McDonald's. McDonald's. It doesn't really matter exactly where. Again, here's the Armory. The McDonald's is like up over here. So I start walking. I thought, oh, what do you know? I could go back by the building. So I go up here to 67. I go down past the Armory. And then I'm right here. And I see the doorman. And I stand outside. And I said, can I take your picture? And he didn't say yes or no. So I took a picture, which will be on Flickr. It's no big deal. It's a doorman in a New York building. The person's not identifiable. Listeners, don't waste your time to hunt for it, but it will be there. It'll be on Flickr. And with that, the doorman who was furthest from me on the first altercation, over near the elevators, he runs across to the precinct, and he's telling me to wait right there. Well, okay, I don't, but I didn't start running. We know what that does for uh, young black people who run from police. Of course, I'm a middle-aged white person. It's less likely to happen to me, but I'm certainly not going to run from the police. So I start walking, and I'm right across from the synagogue when the doorman managed to get the police. So now I'm confronted by the doorman and I think three policemen, which was sometimes four, and they split off, and one of them went over to get the account from what happened in the building. They, of course, lied that I had come back a second time. I said, officer, this has been misreported. When I went by the second time, I did not go in the building. I stood on the sidewalk. Da, 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 da. The other cop comes back with the doorman's account. I said, that is not what happened at all, officer. You want to take me into custody and reconcile this, do whatever you need to do. I will fully cooperate. I am telling you, the account that you just heard is not what happened. So with that, there was a woman cop, and I think by that time, three men. And, cops are never relaxed. And of course, they carry guns. And I was the subject of their problem. So, anyways, I didn't get the F word out of these guys. I didn't get any expletives. I didn't get really any bad language at all, other than the hostility, and the volume was way, way, way over the top for what was necessary to handle a delivery person. And then, so that I got to bark to my customer that I'm being harassed by the doorman. These doormen also got to bring a whole lot of conflict into their building that was witnessed by two of their residents. And then they also had this whole thing witnessed by at least five police officers. So all of this happened in their neighborhood, and I get to come tell my story on the internet and post their picture on the internet. And they, of course, have to live in that neighborhood where they mishandled the situation, which there's a very good chance I'm not the only one that's able to trigger that anger. So that is the end of my police activity tonight. And then, so in the total, I had 11 deliveries over, I think, 8 hours. Uh, and it was just great. It was a lot of fun. And um, in the video this morning, before I headed out, I reported that overflow means that you get deliveries, but not as high a rate as you would if you were scheduled. And I also suspected that the quality of deliveries you get is also lower. And I don't think that's true. I think it's just a matter of chance. I get better deliveries today not because I was scheduled. I get better deliveries today because I did 11, not three. I did 11. You could sample three out of the deliveries that I did today, and they'd all be like Chipotle and whatever, whatever, whatever. So I think that's I misled. If anyone listened to the one I did this morning, it was misreported, or my suspicion that the being taking deliveries when not scheduled also gets not only lower volume, which is confirmed, it is not lower quality. I think the chances are you can still get the high quality, the higher paying jobs, even when off the schedule. It'll take me more time to confirm that. When I was taken offline with that police like sound on my phone, I did not get taken off the schedule. So I went back online and I continued to hold my, um, it's called priority dispatch. That's the phrase for being scheduled. So I continued to hold priority dispatch even though I had been taken offline. So when I got that siren sound, I went back online and I was fine. I had um, felt like it, just by chance I hit this gap. I felt like I was being punished, um, but I don't think I was. And with that, I'm going to go back to the payout. No, I'm not. So I will do more detail on a future hangout. I just wanted to go through those. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American, living in New Jersey, near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, or restful night's sleep. Ciao.